So one of the things that's kind of interesting is if I hit my back button, I'm technically on the history home page right here. Watch this. Invoice image scans to product image scans to. So anytime somebody adds something new, you have to realize as soon as you play in Adilas, it automatically shows up on the grid or on the chart. Oh, that's got a date with it. Oh, that's got a date with it. Oh, that's got a setting with it. Like, we're starting to track those pieces, and that's why we virtually call ourselves a data portal. And you can see that right now my data just changed. Instead of just numbers and cool stuff, I switched to the product mode where it's like, hey, cool, what did we add? Oh, awesome. You know, and it just allows you to go right to these pieces and you can see them in full, vibrant detail. And so for Sandy, she could put tons of her stuff. The other cool piece is as you add these photos, guess what's coming down the pipeline? Which is hopefully where Sandy is headed. E-commerce. If I add a photo inside of Adilas and I make it easy and consumable right here, guess what it ends up doing outside on the web?
Goes to the web.
Absolutely. I don't know what my settings are. Let's go take a look real quick, okay? Every single person who uses Adilas gets an automatic web presence if they want it. Let's go check some stuff, okay? So we just added 2 things to like hot tamales and such. I'm going to click here. Instead of saying click here, I'm going to kind of talk you through it. Okay, on the map, I'm going to settings, which basically takes me into the corporation level. I'm going to then say corp-wide settings and defaults. I'm then going to scroll all the way down to the very, very bottom. There's like 50 or 60 of these settings right now, and who knows, maybe more to come. So way down here at the bottom, there's a bunch of things that say show corp on the web. Yes. What do you want to show? What do you want to show? Okay, here's some other little pieces. Do you want to show prices? Do you want to show a contact page? Do you want to name certain things? Do you want to add a return address? So these are some corp-wide settings to allow you to have a website. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to say save the settings. We didn't really change anything. And I'm going to go back to my home page. Now from this particular one right here, if I click on web presence, it'll actually give me this little thing called my corporation key ID, okay? Mine happens to be USE-0053. And what it really is it's the first couple letters of the name of your business, okay? And then what's called a corporation ID number. So this is just a play number. If I mouse over this link, I'm going to direct your vision down here to the status bar as I mouse over this, okay? As I mouse over this, look where this is actually going. Adilas.biz, it's going to go to a different prep thing. If I click on it, I technically am leaving Adilas. Watch what's going to happen up here on the actual address bar. Instead of saying Adilas, I'm now 100% physically gone to a different little piece of the puzzle. I'm on Adilas Web Services. So this is for my testing thing. And watch this. If I actually wanted to do something, I could come in here and I could say, hey, go show me all of the candy. And by the way, I'd like to see it in big. Go get it. Okay, the pieces that I just barely added inside of Adilas are now exposed outside of Adilas because it's called web servicing, okay? So virtually what it allows you to do is you basically can kind of just drill into these pieces and see just, you know, whatever options you want. This physical item, it actually comes from the main Adilas website even though I'm on a web service address. Does that make sense how that works?
Mm-hmm.
The place where that corporation key is you saw how I got here, but if a person wanted this, basically what you would do is you would actually send them, I'm kind of just jumping around here for a second. You're going to want your web person to come here to the main Adilas.biz website, hit search inventory, web inventory, and they're going to want to click on this little button right here that says web developers. This basically tells them how they can actually connect your pieces to their pieces so that you can actually have your own website. So it's kind of cool. Any questions on that?
Yeah, John is wondering if you could go over some of the things he asked during the lunch break.
Okay.
So those comments we read, I
Okay.
can reread them.
Yeah, just 1 second real quick. I'm just jumping back in. Okay, I'm back inside of Adilas. John, let's go ahead.
So the ones that he had asked were, quantity breakdowns were a great addition. We would like to see in the future, though, a better breakdown of how they are seen. 1 to 7 days, current month, prior 6 months in descending order, and all time total.
Okay, so basically if I was going to respond to that, and I hope everybody else can follow along because there's like this whole other lingo that's going on here, it sounds to me like he's talking part usage, item usage, okay? So what happens is let's go right here. We're going to play again with Snickers. So once I actually get to the Snickers page, there's a little link that says usage. I just did it. I'm currently on an inventory homepage. I can go right to usage, or if I happen to be physically on the item itself, it doesn't matter. There are links to get to it as well. Usage, like there's multiple ways to get to this stuff. If I click on usage, what John is asking for is right here. Click, 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 click. When did they come in? What's going on? What's going on? So this is the piece that he's talking about, and the next piece that I know is I'm not exactly sure what exactly he's looking for. But basically it kind of shows a general roll-in of what's going on all over the thing as far as that goes. And it sounded to me, and I'm just guessing right here, but I heard quarters and this, like instead of actually saying in the last 60 days or in the last 90 days, what's this? And so he just kind of is looking for some more information on that. And there are also some other ways that you can do it that are pretty fun, and I can show you how to get to those pieces. This is just a pre-built piece that comes with the usage section. So one of the things that's kind of interesting is we can actually start seeing like PO, invoice, and we can kind of start seeing like what's happening. Virtually, once again, remember, when you start doing inventory tracking, you have incoming, it runs through the tube, which is the placeholder, and then you have outgoing. When did I finally sell that thing? So if you're looking at physical ins and outs, in, out, in, out, like basically it'll keep documenting. We've been pretty consistent because we're just basically doing it right here. But if you wanted to, you could technically change this date. I'm still on the usage page right here, okay? If I change this date, it technically would change my information as far as what's actually playing into the puzzle. So if I back it up to the 21st, I'm not going to actually see any of this because it's all prior to that. So you could virtually say, hey, where was I at this in this point in time? Like, this may not make a whole lot of sense because we went back to nothing, but let's not include today. We'll just do just yesterday.
He's asking if you can change locally.
Change locally as far as, let's do this. If he still has his audio on, let's see if we can actually unmute him and see if we can nail down what he's looking for.
Yeah, John, do you want to go ahead and talk to Brandon? And
yeah, sure. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yes, go ahead, John.
Okay. In the first column where it says 1 to 7 days,
correct,
we would leave that. Okay. Then step number 2, where it says 8 to 15, we would put current month.
Okay, so you wanted to just see different breakdowns per se.
Yeah, so the first one is 1 to 7 is fine. I would leave that. In that column 2, I would put current month.
Okay, and so you want this to be rolling months instead of rolling days. So instead of a 30-day look back, you want to say, what did I sell in March?
Correct.
Okay.
And in column 3 through 6, in descending order, is the prior month. So in other words, this is March. Okay. So what I would like to see in column 3 is what did we do in February, January, December, November, October, September. In other words,
I can follow that, and I think that that's a great thing. What I'm going to have you do is we're going to just record it, and we're already doing it. I think that that's awesome, John, and I love how you like to see that. Here, you can actually get to that data right this second. However, you have to be willing to kind of search for it. You have to realize all of this data exists, and just because we don't display it the way you're looking for it doesn't mean that it's not there. But can I show you quickly how to get at that data as a temporary workaround, and we will record that idea, and I think that that's a great option. Can I ask you one other question? Did you want to see both ins and outs for currents and last months and etc., or just total quantities?
No, I think the way it's set up right now, quantity in and quantity out by these new dimensions.
Okay, great. I think that's an awesome idea, John. Here's another thing that may end up being a good source for you, okay, is technically if you really wanted something like that, we would almost consider that like into a custom realm, and you could just basically say, hey, Adilas, here's what I want. I want it exactly like this, and we actually create a page for you. So instead of just seeing one item at a time, you technically could walk through, you know, say you wanted to see 25 per page or something, and you could technically walk through each item and be able to filter it, and then be like, oh, here's 25 of my items. What did I do for this one? What did I do for this one? That would basically be what I would consider a custom report, and basically we could build that for you. And then we basically, there's already sections inside of Adilas where you can tie it in so you could get right to that. So that's another option.
If I might add something, Brandon,
Yes.
I'd rather see it tied to the individual items. And the reason is when a salesman comes in and he wants to sell you something, or, you know, you might be down to 3 bottles or whatever, so you have to make a decision, do I buy this week? Okay, if you can take that item and, okay, how many did I sell in the last, within the last 7 days, the last 3 months, whatever, it helps you make a good decision as far as what you purchase, as far as quantity is concerned.
Okay.
Because you know, a salesman, all they want to do is sell you.
John, I can
And there's
follow
nothing
that.
wrong.
That's a great comment. That's a great comment. And so can I show you, if you wanted to do it specific to months, I can show you how to do it. You're going to have to do a search. And I love what you're saying, and please record that idea, and we can see if we can break it into more of a month category versus just a daily look back where you're like, okay, so who?
Sure, yes. If we can have something, you know, temporary, that'd be great. And by the way, I want to express my thanks. This was a wonderful addition that you did. This has been a tremendous help for us.
Okay, good. And basically what you're saying is let's tweak it out a little further. Is that correct?
Yeah, I'm being greedy.
You're being greedy. John. Okay, no problem. Are you okay if I quickly show you how to pull it up by month?
Sure, that'd be great.
Okay, awesome. So watch this right here. If you wanted to, we know that this particular name is Snickers. I'm going to double click on it, copy it into my memory, so that was a quick Control-C. I'm now going to go to the invoice. Now this might seem a little weird. Instead of being on the actual product, I'm going to go to the invoice advanced search. And why would I do that, you think? Here's why I want to do that, okay? Invoice line items. This is where your physical items are stored and your out quantities. What did I sell? So if I click on this, what it does is it shortens my little options. I'm going to come down and I can technically add the dates. So say you wanted to see everything that I sold in March. 3/1, 3/31. I'm going to come down, and right here I'm going to say I want you to group this, and I also want to say paste. And I had that word Snickers in there, okay? So basically what I'm doing is I'm doing a line item search for a date range. I'm not doing anything else, and I'm saying group it so it gives me just a total, and I just want Snickers, okay? Or if I wanted to, I could even go like this. Say I wanted to see a bunch of things that I knew that particular person was in here, and he's actually in here, and I'm like, you know what? I actually would like to see all my candies. Like, depending on how you wanted to do it, you see how I made that little quick change there between Snickers and all candy? If I hit search, so in the last month, I have sold a total of 14 hot tamales, 68 M&Ms, and 34 Snickers. If I wanted to see the month prior, I could easily just go like this, and I could back this up just to 2. And then just all I'd have to do is even hit enter. I don't have to do anything else, and I could hit enter, and it would rerun that thing. Oh, this is just a play site. Mine's basically like, nothing. But does that make sense how you could back it up if you needed to?
Yeah, sure. on a temporary basis.
Yes, yes, John, and I realize you're physically asking the system for that instead of it being produced to you in a report format. So great idea, and let's keep it coming. I hope you know, John, that I would actually say that probably 50% of all Adilas is actually ideas from different people and what they've chimed in and how they are wanting to play. So great, great. I highly encourage it. Highly encourage it. Really quick.
So,
yeah, go ahead.
Can I ask one more question, then I'm going to leave you folks alone.
John, I want you to know this is actually why we're doing the training. If we have somebody who's interested and wants to learn, guess what? I bet you somebody else has the exact same question, so you're doing fine.
Okay, the one other question I had was, you know, where we, after we make the deposits, we go in and we verify and we post them.
Okay, great.
Okay, that's a two-step process right now. We have to edit, verify, then we go back and we have to edit and post.
Okay.
Could I ask you, can we just have one click and we edit and post in both in one stroke?
Okay, John, that is a great question, and what ends up happening is I want to just kind of talk just a little bit about permissions and what's going on, okay? But that's a wonderful question. Now what he's asking is he's talking about deposits, okay? And in this play site, I might not even have any deposits that are going on. We're going to quickly create one. And I'm just going to kind of quickly say, hey, let's say that we got 500 bucks end of day. Okay, I'm just going to create a deposit so that I can actually show them what they're working with. What happens is you virtually, it says, hey, come on in, what have we got? And you basically can click a number of different little pieces. This one happens to be $500. It was a Visa charge yesterday that we were just playing. We've just kind of been playing in here, John, so we haven't really done deposits. Once I add this deposit, this $500 that's tied to invoice 102 just got tied to my deposit. That's not a big deal, and you're doing that great. What you're saying is right here, verifying and posting. This is what you're dealing with. What I want to tell you real quick, and this is dealing with permissions, I'm going to be able to come back to this deposit in just a second, but I'm going to actually jump out and show you the map for just a microsecond, okay? So basically, in here in the deposits, I'm going to grab my marker again. So we're dealing with deposits. And basically, deposits deal with, hey, did it go to the bank? Okay? So what ends up happening is you're doing transactions down here, lots of invoices, lots of invoices, lots of invoices. End of the day, you close out everything and you're like, yes, let's create that into a deposit. So you're creating a link basically from tons and tons of invoices to a deposit, if that makes sense. What happens right here is basically the main deposit date, that starts its life cycle. So what if you deposited it and the date actually was on today's date, the 27th? Well, what if the bank doesn't see that until the next day, or maybe it's a weekend and they don't see it till a couple days later? So the verified date on a deposit is technically when does the bank see it? Not that you said, yes, that's a good deposit. I don't know if that makes a difference, but basically verified is, let's say it's 2 days or 3 days later, all of a sudden the bank sees it. Now I go back to that deposit and say, hey, the bank now made that connection, like they're verifying that the funds got added. And then posting, what that does is it's on a permission level. So instead of having your average person who's doing the deposits, as soon as it gets verified, that's an admin permission, okay? So admin, the person who's doing your deposits probably isn't looking in your bank. And so once they verify and they see it, that's called verifying. And then the posting piece is completely later on, and that's like, hey, I want to lock it down so even normal admin can't use it. Only ultra admin can see it. So that's why there's all these different steps. And you might be like, doggone it, I just want to get the job done. And what's actually happening is it depends on where you're doing it. And what happened is when we started, we were in the automobile industry. And so you have salespeople who are creating your deposits for you. And they're physically tying in monies and they're putting it in the bank. And then another person is actually saying, hey, what happened and did it actually hit the bank? Oh, cool, I'm going to verify that. And it now becomes part of the verified totals of that bank. And then later on, once everything's been verified, I'm happy with that month. There's actually a way to do posting at a month at a time ratio versus a click, post, click, post, click, post. You can do it at a month at a time. I don't know if that makes sense, but that's why it's set up the way it is. It's just kind of the nature of the beast and also dealing with permissions. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense. My question is, can we have it changed or not?
John, I love how you cut to the chase. You're awesome. You're awesome. So what let's do is basically you're saying, what would your procedure like to be? And I'm just curious about this. Like, say we have this deposit. I'm going to go back to the deposit homepage, and I'm going to get back in kind of the mode that I was in. I was working on deposit 7 for $500, and I added one little invoice, and it could potentially have tons and tons. But this is my $500 right here. And you're saying you click on verify. So technically, what I want to tell you about verify is this. When did the bank see it? Okay, and that's technically what it does, because you can actually run on two different things. So inside your checkbook, just for an example, say I have $500 in my checkbook and I write 2 checks out, but the bank hasn't seen it, or I know that they were in the mail. There's a thing called the float. So what happens is in order to capture that time periods between the things, we created the main invoice date, which would basically be this guy right here. That's your main invoice date. And then eventually, it'll get a verified date right over here once it actually gets that. So that creates that gap of time between when I say the money went in and when the bank actually acknowledged it. So technically, that's what it's trying to do inside of Adilas. Let me listen to you and hear what you would like it to say or do.
Okay, what happens today? Okay, today is Wednesday.
Okay.
So the business that we do today, I will take to the bank in the morning, and I get a verification of making the deposit. So say I deposit $2,000.
Okay.
Okay, I get his slip says, on this date you deposited $2,000. To me, the bank sees it, and I see it in the bank. To me, as far as I'm concerned, that's in the bank.
Okay, correct, and that's awesome. And you'll notice just a slight difference in what we were talking about. I said we created the deposit, and I took it that night, say like to the safe deposit box, because I closed after business hours.
Right.
You're saying, hey, I'm going to take it the next morning and put it in, and that's the business. The bank is physically open, and yes, they will see it that exact same day. But you see how there could even be just a slight disconnect between a night depository versus I'm going in and I physically got a deposit slip.
Right. But the banks are open at 6:30 in the morning. I'm probably the first one there waiting for them to put the window.
John, I don't doubt it. That's awesome. Okay, so basically the one thing that I would recommend you doing, instead of worrying about like posting everything, I would just go in and verify it like you've been doing it. So it's just the single click. So let's pretend that we're going to do it, okay? I'm going to hit back one so you can kind of see where I'm at. I'm at edit,
sure.
deposit line items. I'm going to click on verify, and I'm going to go, yes, I got it, okay? Now you'll see right here that this message says, hey, if you want to actually post this, you can return here. This is on a one-by-one basis. I wouldn't recommend this unless you really had a reason for it, okay? I would just go like this. Yes, the bank sees it on today, verify it. All of a sudden I have 2 dates, okay, this date and this date, okay? At this point, what I would do if I were you, John, is I would not return and say, okay, now let's go post it, okay? I wouldn't do that. What I would do is I would leave it at the verified only status, and then once you actually do some stuff, watch this. If you have the permissions, then this is once again a final permission, deposit homepage, and there's a little thing that says post, okay? If you want to take it clear to this level, which basically it's the ultra lockdown of anybody, unless they have that top level permission, they can't touch that deposit anymore. But if I do it and I click post, I can actually do this virtually very, very quickly, if this makes sense. Instead of just doing one at a time, like I just have one that I verified here, but I could technically just do tons and tons and tons and tons, and it would show up for me. So I've got a bunch of deposits here. Watch this. I'm just going to go grab another deposit so you can see how you can do it in bulk. Deposit 6, go. Currently it's saying no, it's not verified. I'm going to verify it. We're going to call it, pretend that it came in today. Verify it. I'm going to do one more. Let's go grab deposit 5. I'm just trying to show you how you can, oh, this one says, hey, I don't match. That's not a problem, but basically it's trying to tell you something. I've got $382, but my main doesn't match. So I'll just do a quick little edit on this guy, update it, 382.10. I'll hit edit the deposit. Now I'm going to verify this guy. So this will give me 3 of them, okay, that hit. So as soon as it's verified, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the deposit homepage. I can get there from multiple places, expense receipt homepage, deposit homepage, or bank homepage, but I'm going to look for this little guy right here, post. So now once I do it and I select the bank, you could potentially have multiple different banks. That's why it prompts for like, what do you want to do? You click it, and what it does is anything that has a check mark on it automatically, John, watch this. If I hit post, it's going to do all 3 of these at one time. And potentially you could have any of your expenses. The dates go like this. Your basic date, when did it start? Your verified date, when did the bank see it? And your post date is kind of like the final stamp. Like there's nothing that really happens between verified and post other than you're limiting who can touch it. That's all that final post does inside of Adilas. If I hit post, click. It basically ran the whole thing. Hey, I successfully did it. What do you want to see? Now watch this. If I go back to say deposit 7, you'll actually see that it's actually fully verified and that thing is posted as well. Bam, it's posted. Okay? Like we just did it in bulk, and so that's what I would recommend. So instead of going back and forth on each and every deposit, I would say enter your deposits. When it physically does hit the bank, that's your verified date. And then let it run for a while. And then you're like, oh, I better clean some stuff up. Go to the post section, and the post section only pulls in pieces that have been verified. It kind of helps you do it in bulk. So I would recommend that.